Hello, and welcome back to the studio. I'm Dr. Wiggo, and today I've got a new camera. Really? Another one? Yes, I had no intention of buying another camera, but I was watching a video on, you guessed it, Mark Bennett's Camera Crisis, and he had just gotten one of these and pointed out that it was $500 off. And then I was thinking about these tariffs that may be hitting in 2025, and I thought, well, I better get it while the getting's good. Now, it's a 2-year-old camera, so it's nothing new, but it's a really good camera and a pretty expensive camera. Before the sale, it was almost $4,000. With $500 off, it was like $3,400. Still a lot of money for a camera, but I'm worth it. As always, first I'm going to tell you why I bought this camera, although I kind of gave you a little preview there in my intro. But if you don't care about that, you can just skip forward to the next chapter, which will be the unboxing of this and the bundle it came with. Not a really good bundle, but a bundle nonetheless. And if you don't care about the unboxing, you can skip ahead where I will start using the camera and trying it out and doing some stuff with it and seeing how it behaves. Why did I buy this? Well, as I said in my intro, I saw it on Mark Bennett's channel. I had heard about the camera before, and it's a great camera, but I went with the A7R5, which is this guy right here, rather than this one, the A7R5, which is considerably more expensive, although with the $500, not quite as big a difference in price. Now, it's a 2-year-old camera, but Sony tends to run about 3 to 4 years between cycles. There's lots of rumors about the A7R6. Yeah, they're rumors. My experience with Sony rumors is that people start rumoring about 2 years before the camera comes out. So I figure I got a good 2 years I can get out of this one. Well, I'm not going to buy an A7R6 for reasons that will become obvious when I run through this. This is more camera than I need. This is actually way more camera than I need because this is a true hybrid camera. And I don't really take photographs. And the reason everybody wants this camera is for the photography, although it also does video just fine. Well, we'll see later on. So Mark Bennett, he didn't convince me to buy it, but he kind of pushed me a little in the direction because he bought one when it was on sale. And I said, well, if he's buying it on sale, maybe I should buy it on sale. Got to keep up with the Bennetts. That's why I bought it. Plus, I wanted another camera. I've been using a ZV-E10 for some of my shooting, like in the library and in the office and in the living room. And I just don't like it, and it doesn't do 10-bit color. So it's kind of like my last vestige, well, other than this guy up here, who also is a ZV-E10 and doesn't do 10-bit color. I'd like to be able to go to 10-bit color and HDR and all that stuff after I retire. Not going to be color grading until I have the time, which will be after I retire. I wanted to get a better camera into the lineup, and this is now the best camera that I own. Most expensive, best features, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's why I bought it. The other reason is, as you know, I'm going to retire in about 6 months, and then I won't have as much money laying around for things like this. So, like if I wanted to buy this a year from now, I might not be able to afford it. But I can afford it now, so I bought it now. And then I'll have it a year from now. Well, let's move on to the unboxing, shall we? Before we unbox the camera, what it came with, the bundle was an extra battery, which is relatively worthless because Sony cameras now complain if you put in non-Sony batteries, and so I don't like those complaints, and I have a whole bunch of the batteries. And again, this battery uses the same battery as that camera and a whole bunch of my other cameras. So that's not such a big deal. Another part of the bundle was a 128 gigabyte Lexar SD card. It's a B60, so it's not that fast. I won't be using that in this camera. Well, maybe in the backup slot. While we're on the subject of cards, I bought, not in the bundle, this was not in the bundle. I bought another CF Express Type A card, which I will be using with this, like I use in this camera and this camera. They're sturdy, yes, they're expensive, but they last. I'll be going with that. But it wasn't part of the bundle. The bundle was a regular SD card. And one other thing in the bundle was a camera bag. Little backpack. It's got all your compartments for putting camera stuff in, and you can never have too many camera bags. The reason I always go with the bundle is because you're paying the same price either way. I've explained this in past videos. Sony uses retail price maintenance, so they can't charge less than list price. But they can throw things in, and so that's how they discount it. And it was already $500 off, and then throwing in, I mean, yeah, maybe $100, $150 worth of stuff, but it was free. Because I paid the same price. If I had just bought the camera directly, I would have paid the same price. So that was the bundle. Not a lot to unbox there. Let's get into this guy. Now we start with a little bit of concern. There's no sticky tape. Sony always has a tamper thing so that you'll know if it's been opened. So this one I think this one's been opened. Now I got it from Autorama via Amazon, and Autorama is a reputable company, so I doubt this is used, but it's a little concerning. Well, let's open it up and see what's going on in here. Okay, the first thing you find in the box is this really weird thing, which is a cable management system that goes in, screws into the side, and you can route your HDMI cables, and I will never use this, but it's kind of cool looking. This is for the real pros so that they can do cable management and stuff. Ooh, we have our booklets. Sony is getting better about this. We just have a little A7R5 flyer, a limited warranty, sell me a protection plan, hazard warnings, and a little reference guide, accessories you can buy. Sony's getting better at this. And we have a power cord. Wonder what this is for. I'm thinking the power cord is for whatever this is. Oh, it's a battery charger. Most Sony cameras don't come with battery chargers anymore. They expect you to charge the batteries in the camera with the USB-C cable. Oh, which we also have a USB-A to USB-C cable. I have most of my batteries and chargers up in this room in the studio, but now I could have one battery charging, so if I ever run out of battery when I'm downstairs, I don't have to run all the way upstairs to change the battery. So this will be convenient. I don't really need it, but it's nice and it's included. Well, for $3,400, kind of the least they could do. Oh, a nice camera strap. It's leather. I think it's real leather. And it's got the A7R5 logo on it. I, of course, don't hang cameras around my neck, so this isn't really worth a lot to me, but it's not bad. Let everybody know you have an A7R5 so they'll come steal it. And then we have the battery, the Sony battery that it won't complain about when you put it in the camera, because it does complain if they're non-Sony. See, it says Sony. And again, these batteries are for almost all my Sony cameras except the ZV-E10s. Another reason I want to replace them. Finally, what we've all been waiting for, the camera. And you will see why I wanted this. The body's a lot like the A7R4, but here's one of the features I really wanted. It has the little flip-out screen like almost all the Sony cameras these days, but that's not all. It's also a tilt screen. So it'll tilt down, or you can tilt it up, and even when it's up, you can flip it. You can flip it around. So it is very versatile little flippy screen, unlike all the other ones. Also, most of my cameras have 1,000,000 dots on the flippy screens. This is a 2,000,000 dot flippy screen. And the viewfinder, again, for the photographers, is like 8 or 9 million dots. It's a really sharp viewfinder, except when you have autofocus on, apparently it drops the resolution by like 50% for autofocus. I don't know. That's for real photographers, and I'm not a real photographer. It's got lots of customization buttons. Record buttons up here. We got C2 over there. We got C3 back here. C1's right there. I usually put either C1 or C3 to APS-C crop mode. I just press a button and it'll give me more reach. It also has the separate little wheel down here for photo mode, video mode, and S&Q mode. And you have to push the button, you have to push this button on the front end before it'll turn, so it'll be harder to accidentally flip it. I have flipped it a little there, but it wasn't easy. Why do photographers love this camera so much? I'll show you right now. That right there, that is a 61 megapixel sensor. It's the highest resolution sensor on any consumer level Sony camera. I'm not sure about the cinema ones, but I think even they aren't 61 megapixels. So that is a lot of sensor. And again, why photographers love it, because you take a 61 megapixel photograph and you can zoom way in and not lose detail. For a video, it's not really an advantage. In fact, some people say it's a disadvantage because like the A7 IV here does downsampling from 6K to 4K, but this does binning to get down to 4K, which is not going to give you quite as much sharpness and whatever things that people like so much. You have two little dials here. You have your exposure compensation and something else. Don't know what that is. We'll find out when we turn it on. But of course, knowing Sony, these are customizable. So you have two wheels here. Plus you have a wheel up here. And of course, your normal wheel and the little joystick. Let's put a battery in. You know what would also be good? A lens. And I just happen to have a Viltruck 16 sitting over here that I have not been using. I'll skip over the setup. Oh, and it asked me if I want to set my auto power off temperature to high, which I do because you don't want it overheating. You know, this camera is a more professional camera because it has two CF Express Type A card slots. This guy and this guy have one, and then their other slot is just SD. These slots both will do accept CF Express Type A or SD cards. Well, now let's see what's going on here with this lens. Yeah, again, this is a 16, so it's fairly wide. But see, I like having this thing where I can flip it up, or I can flip it up over here. Very handy. Not worth $3,400 by itself, but with the better sensor, oh, apparently it's not the best at rolling shutter. As always, let me direct you to Mark Bennett's video about this camera. I think he's comparing it to the A7R4 in the video I'll be linking down below. Okay, the ISO has gone up to 1600. By the way, it's dark over there. I cannot, those posters are not visible, but they're visible on here. So it's not a beast in low light. Okay, so auto ISO minimum is 100 and maximum is 12,800, but it will go to 32,000, not in auto. So it'll do okay in low light. It's not gonna set any records. I am impressed with, I mean, it is dark over there. The lights are all aimed at me, so there's not a lot of light going over there, but it looks nice and bright. We'll see, you can see if I bring it down and get the table in. See how dark it gets over there? Because now it's setting to, it's going to this brightness, and that's how dark it is to my eyes right now. But then when you get the table out of the picture or the lights out of the picture, it gets a whole lot brighter. I just opened the box. So I don't know all the things it'll do. I've watched a bunch of videos before I bought it. By the way, always watch videos before you buy things. Not mine. Watch smart people like Mark Bennett or Gerald Undone. I watched his video about this. It's a good camera. And again, $500 off. And with the prospect of tariffs looming on the horizon, I figured this was the time. And it'll probably be at least 2 years before it gets replaced in the lineup. Now, one thing, the A7 IV, the FX30, and some of my other Sony cameras, they put a red border around the little flippy screen so you'll know you're recording. Here I just have a little red REC there. Although that may be a setting. I may have to come back and do another video about this camera after I figure out all the things it can do. The other thing is By having the flippy screen able to pull away, on Sony cameras, the heat sink is underneath the flippy screen. So you usually want the flippy screen open to get maximum heat dissipation. Well, here, when you pull this out, you get even a little bit more heat dissipation. But I'm just going to see, how does this work handheld? I'm still ugly. Not bad. If I put that Laowa that was on the channel recently, I would get more like this, except up close. This is a little heavy. I wouldn't want to hold it in my hand. And I don't have my mount for my Ulanzi. Now this is with the switch pod. Still awfully heavy. Now the switch pod is heavier than the Ulanzi. And of course this is a heavy lens too. So it's a heavier camera than the ZVE one. This is a heavier lens than the Laowa. But I could do this for a while. I mean, this would not be, handheld would not be out of the question with this. Now you can see how close I am to this and these other cameras. Well, this isn't going to be a review anyway. This is just, this was mainly an unboxing and get it out, try it out, see how it goes. This is my new camera. A7R5. Again, 61 megapixels. I'll put up a thing with the speeds and feeds and all that kind of stuff. But I like the little flippy screen and flippy, tilty, fully articulating, I guess is what we would call that. Man, I suck at this. I didn't show you all the stuff on the sides, but it has a full-size HDMI and it's a flash connector if you're doing flashes. And then we have a couple more connectors here. That one's obviously USB-C. Not sure who that guy is, but I'll put it on the screen. And then on the other side, again, we have the two card slots. Both will take CF Express Type A. Both will also take SD cards. Battery compartment on the bottom. The grip is not bad. So for real photographers who like carry their cameras and do this, this is not bad. And it's got an indentation here to help you grip. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, see, it's got an indentation there for, you can put one of your fingers there. Maybe that one. So you'll have a finger to hit the shutter. Subject recognition. Recognition target. Here we go. Human, animal, bird, animal. So, and then bird. So if you're shooting animals and birds, you can pick the animal bird, or if you're just shooting animals, or if you're just shooting bird, insects, cars and trains, and airplanes. And everybody who's done a review of this camera has just raved about this autofocus. This is that Bion's AI processor autofocus. Sony has always had amazing autofocus, but this like takes it up a notch. I will almost always have this in human. You can tell it whether to select the right eye or left eye of the human or bird or animal. Oh, face memory. You can register faces in here. It looks like there's 7 slots. So you can register 7 faces, and then you tap on that, and then if that face is in the frame, it will focus on that face, even if there's lots of other faces. Wedding photography. Godsend for wedding photographers. Put the bride and the groom's face in here, and then when you tap that, it will always focus on the bride or the groom. Usually the bride. So that's a thing it's got. It's a great little camera. Well, it's expensive enough. And you can touch the menus. So this camera's 2 years old, but at the time, it was the big upgrade. And the new A1 II that just came out has basically the same menu system and same processors and does the same autofocus and all the same stuff. Of course, it does more because it's an even more expensive camera, so they added in more stuff. But this was the camera that introduced a lot of this stuff. So it's a great camera. Way more camera than I need. And I was just doing 4K 30. It's not warm at all. It's warmish, but it's not going to overheat. So that's my new Sony A7R5. As of right before Christmas, it was still selling for $500 off. I don't know how long that sale is going to last. So if you want to scarf one up before the tariffs hit, we don't know the tariffs are going to hit Japan, but you never know. The rumors are out about the A7R6, so there may be a successor that's coming. I wouldn't expect that in 2025 necessarily. It'll probably be 2026. Sony's always releasing new cameras, so there'll be another camera. It's like my sister-in-law Karen used to say, hurry up and buy it before the price comes down. Talking about anything electronic. But that's my new Sony A7R5. Nice camera. Again, more camera than I need. I think I'll be very happy with it, and I'll work it into my rotation, and it will kind of be my go-to. Right now, when I'm not up here, when I'm shooting elsewhere in the house or out of the house, my main camera has been the A6700, which is an APS-C camera. This will be my new main camera when I'm not in this room in the studio. And then the A6700 will be a B or C camera. And I also use the A7C for that. Anyway, that's the A7R5. Gonna take me a while to get to know how it works and all the ins and outs, but it's a Sony, so you can always set everything in auto and just start shooting. But then as you learn things, you can go in and play with like the autofocus settings, and you want to do human or bird and all that kind of stuff. Or there's lots of settings in these cameras. And of course, the Sony menu system makes it so easy to get to. I'm kidding. It's better than it used to be. It used to be you had to use the little dial and you couldn't touch the menus. Well, you can touch the menus on this guy. That's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. I have to go read the manual now and watch some more videos and figure out how this camera works. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.